Hi, my name is Stephen Wu, and I'm an associate professor at UT Health Houston. I'm also the head of research at Tibian AI, which is a nonprofit headquartered in Tripoli, Libya. It approximately means clarifying AI in Arabic. Today, I'll be talking about honor ethics, and this will contribute to the wider discussion on value alignment in AI. Value alignment in AI is how to make AI behavior reflect the values of its users. Now, previous work on this topic has led people to say that there is a consensus of values in AI. Jobin et al. In 2018 listed these 11 values, and many of the other works listed more values, some with fewer. However, Jobin et al. Also showed this geographic plot of where the policy documents that they got their ideas of the AI values from, and obviously there are large parts of the world missing. We agree with that assessment that there are things missing, and so our theses are one, that there are significant blind spots in modern AI ethics, but we'd like to introduce something. We'd like to say that an understanding of honor ethics will better accommodate global engagement with AI. So, what is honor ethics then? And what are characteristics of honor cultures that would cause us to say that this helps fill the gap? Well, I'll give you four characteristics of honor versus dignity cultures, and these are oversimplified dichotomies, but we're going to do it by means of an example. So, say you manage a clinic accepting walk-ins. Who should be allowed to skip the line in your clinic? The contrast here we're trying to make is between an honor society versus a dignity society. Now, in honor societies, an external judgment of worth is important, whereas dignity societies, it's just internal. For example, if you only care about medical emergencies, you're looking at something internal, intrinsic to the person themselves, whereas basically everything else on this list is an external social judgment of the person, and that's more like in honor cultures. Now, honor cultures tend to be more like the other things here on the left, hierarchical versus egalitarian. So, for example, if you're a known military leader and that gets you better treatment, then that you may be in a hierarchical society where your rank or place matters for how you're treated. Whereas in egalitarian cultures, no, you treat everybody the same regardless of their rank or place. Now, another contrast for many honor cultures are tribalists rather than cosmopolitan. And this would be, for example, your grandfather walks into the clinic and, well, of course you're going to let your grandfather go first. This may be actually a valued thing. That's in contrast to the cosmopolitan value that all humans are one big family, so you should not prefer your own family above somebody else's family. Then we have the distinction between competitive cultures versus cooperative cultures. In competitive cultures, life is a win-lose game, and you might have enemies and that kind of thing. And that's what we have here. If you find excuses to let others go in front, you do what it takes to win anyways. Whereas in cooperative societies, you're looking for win-win solutions. All boats rise together. Now, let's go and take these honor lenses, honor ethics lenses, and put them onto the AI ethics that we looked at. We're only going to look at three of them, even though there's five in the paper, but this presentation will start with privacy. So, privacy, let's consider this in the light of a genomics database. You have to share data from your database in order for it to be useful at all, but you want to preserve privacy in some way. So, how do you do that? Well, with informed consent, with cybersecurity protections, with differential privacy. These are all means that we would use. And from a dignity perspective, that is ensuring that you are protecting privacy as a right. Individuals own their data, and so they make their own decision to join this database, and then they have a right to keep the data in. Now, in honor culture might use some of these same techniques for privacy, but privacy itself is kind of a tool to prevent shame and get honor. So when you see privacy as a tool, it's just one of the tools. You might be using other tools not within the system in order to enact your privacy. For example, you might introduce a pseudonym or obfuscate demographic data rather than trusting what the system is going to do. There's also the idea of collectivist privacy. Rather than getting informed consent from a particular individual only, perhaps there's a group decision to join this genomics database, especially as you share the same gene pool. And the other thought is that you might be keeping data out of the public, where competitive parties might use it for against you, rather than keeping data in to yourself. Next topic is fairness and equity, and we're thinking here about a job hiring assistance. We've already applied some fair ML algorithms on it. From a dignity perspective, individualism will tell us that everybody deserves a fair chance at this opportunity. Egalitarianism will tell us there should be no disproportionately preferred group or disadvantaged group. And once you apply your fair ML algorithms, this is going to allow you to uphold or restore the dignity that everybody has equally and deserves. But if you start from a hierarchical perspective in honor culture, then actually differing opportunities are normal or appropriate in that kind of a culture. And there may not be as strong of a sense of equity, but if there is, that equity would be established probably within groups. For example, women competing for jobs against women rather than being lumped in with men. Now, interestingly, if you apply the same fair ML strategies in your job hiring assistant that you did in dignity cultures, then you would note, wait a second, individuals have non-uniform weights in this, and maybe it's resampling rate, maybe it's something else, but that is basically an inverted ranking. However much you're going to upsample a less represented type of group would be inverting the ranking in some way. And therefore, an honor perspective might say, look, this is re disturbing the social order. It's reordering the honor rankings that we already have in order to have this kind of a system. The third value we'll look at is transparency. And here we're talking about hate speech detection, fake news, stuff like that in social media with an AI agent. Now, if we're going to do any content moderation at all, we are actually restricting information accessibility. Is that okay if you want to have transparency? Well, in a dignity perspective, you say, yes, curation is okay, but censorship is not. Like highlighting something is okay, but withholding information with power over the person, that's not okay. Whereas in an honor culture, restrictions are actually pretty normal for a hierarchical guardianship kind of situation, like parent to child, other types of relationships. The point is not, it's not whether you're going to be restricted, but is it going to be restricted in a way that is good, that is beneficial to you? Also, I would point out that AI practitioners right now are basically de facto guardians in today's society. Also, in transparency, we might consider that explaining the system output or operation is what people are after. And what it's trying to do is uphold the right to know, uphold the right to autonomy to choose whether I want to use the system at all or not. And the idea is that, you're going to foster trust if you explain systems. But from an honor perspective, full transparency or information access, it's not always expected or desired, and a user is not going to assume that explanations that are given to them are true because of the competitive assumption. And information can be withheld for good reasons, and so withholding information isn't itself a bad thing. So we'd say that explaining systems has a harder uproad track for gaining trust. I want to say that this is a position paper. It's not an empirical paper with experiments. I've used false dichotomies for clarity because the point here is awareness. I'm not trying to get you to adopt honor ethics necessarily. It's non-prescriptive paper. And in fact, our own author team has very diverse ethical bases. We're different in ethnicity, in nationality, in religion. We have a research contribution here about honor ethics, which are not necessarily the same as our own opinions. I align with honor ethics in some places and dignity in others. So, in conclusion, AI value alignment is a hard problem globally, and honor values are not the same as dignity values. But when we look at AI consensus values, they will look different in honor cultures. Thank you.